Sometimes, the loudest emotions are the ones never spoken out loud. He never says, "I miss you." He doesn't tell you he likes you. And he certainly won't admit he's thinking about you late at night. But something in the way he moves, the way he reacts, the way he listens, makes you wonder, does he feel more than he's letting on? The truth is, men often love in silence, especially when they're unsure, scared of rejection, or emotionally guarded. So instead of confessing how deeply they care, they show it in quiet, subtle ways, hoping you'll notice without forcing them to say it out loud. You start to catch strange patterns. He remembers small things you mentioned once and never brought up again. He gets oddly distant when you talk about another guy. He makes jokes that seem light, but carry hidden jealousy. And somehow, no matter what's going on, he always shows up when you need him most. At first, it may feel like coincidence. But over time, you realize this isn't random. He's emotionally attached to you, deeply. But he's doing everything he can to keep it buried. Why? Because attachment is vulnerable. And for someone who's used to keeping control, showing those feelings feels like handing you the power to hurt him. So instead, he hides. He masks his affection with sarcasm, covers his care with casualness, and protects his heart with distance. But if you know what to look for, you'll see it. Because even in silence, emotions leave traces. Whether you're confused, curious, or quietly hoping it's true. This video will walk you through the 15 most powerful signs he's emotionally attached to you, but trying not to show it. These aren't the obvious ones. They're the small, consistent things that slip through when a man is fighting hard to stay guarded, yet can't help but care too much. And once you recognize them, you'll stop second-guessing, because his actions will tell you everything his words are too scared to say. Let's begin. 1. He remembers small details you barely mention once. When a man is emotionally attached but trying to hide it, one of the most telling signs is how he remembers the tiniest details you casually mentioned once. Things even you may have forgotten. It's not about remembering your birthday or your favorite movie, though those matter too. It's about how he remembers the way you said your grandmother made the best mango jam, or how you once mentioned you hate loud ticking clocks because they remind you of nights you couldn't sleep as a child. These small things might seem irrelevant to anyone else, but to him, they're quietly significant. He may not bring them up directly, but he acts on them in subtle ways. Maybe you mentioned once that you love jasmine tea, and the next time you meet, that's exactly what he offers you, without making a big deal about it. Or perhaps you once offhandedly said that your favorite color used to be green because it reminded you of your childhood garden. Then one day, he compliments you when you were something green without referencing that memory, but it's clear he hasn't forgotten. These gestures aren't grand or loud. In fact, they're intentionally quiet, almost as if he doesn't want to admit how closely he's been listening. Even when he tries to hide how much he cares, these little signs slip through. You might tell him about a stressful work deadline in passing, and a week later, he asks how it went, like it truly mattered to him. That's emotional attachment speaking, no matter how hard he tries to downplay it. He may even pretend to forget or act like it's nothing, but his actions betray him. When a man listens with that kind of emotional attentiveness, it's rarely casual. It means your words echo in his memory, because you mean more to him than he's ready to admit. 2. He gets quiet or distant when you talk about other guys. When a man is emotionally attached to you, but trying to hide it, his reaction to hearing you talk about other guys can reveal far more than he says. One of the clearest signs is how his energy subtly shifts. He suddenly becomes quiet, distracted, or emotionally distant. He may not argue or express jealousy outright, especially if he's trying to keep his feelings a secret. But internally, he's uncomfortable. His silence isn't just about the topic. It's about the emotions he's fighting off. You might notice that when you're telling a story that includes another man, even if it's innocent, his face changes. He may stop making eye contact or offer dry, short responses. Maybe you're excitedly sharing how a male coworker helped you fix your laptop or how an old friend invited you to a party, and suddenly he's not as engaged. It's not because he doesn't care, it's because he cares too much. He's comparing himself silently, wondering if this other guy matters to you more than he does. But because he hasn't admitted his own feelings, he can't say anything. So he pulls back. Sometimes, he might even act like it doesn't bother him. He'll nod, smile politely, or change the subject quickly. But his body language often tells a different story. Crossed arms, a forced smile, a sudden urge to check his phone. It's not jealousy in its loud, possessive form. It's quiet, suppressed jealousy, the kind that comes from loving someone silently. The emotional distance that follows isn't to punish you. It's his way of protecting himself. If he gets too involved, he risks revealing his true feelings. So instead, he shuts down for a moment, hoping it'll pass. What he really wants to say is, "I wish that was me you were talking about." But instead, he chooses silence. And in that silence, his attachment speaks louder than words ever could. 3. He finds excuses to be near you, without making it obvious. When a man is emotionally attached, but trying not to show it, one of the most revealing things he'll do is consistently find reasons to be near you, without making it seem intentional. It's never framed as, "I wanted to see you," or "I miss you." Instead, it shows up in subtle, quiet ways that almost feel coincidental. He'll suddenly show up where you are or offer to help with something small, even if it doesn't need help. If you're going somewhere, he'll volunteer to come along, not because he has to, but because he wants to be close, even if just for a few moments. You might mention that you're going to a local bookstore this weekend, and he'll casually say, "Oh, I was planning to go there anyway," even if that wasn't true. Or maybe you need to carry something heavy, and even though it's not really a big deal, he insists on helping. These gestures aren't dramatic, and they rarely come with big declarations. They come quietly, as favors, as support, as just being there. But deep down, they're fueled by an emotional bond he hasn't admitted yet. He creates chances to linger around you, offering to wait with you, asking simple questions to keep the conversation going, or finding common interests that give him a reason to be around. He won't say he misses you, but he'll keep finding ways to stay close. Even in group settings, you might find he drifts closer to your side of the room, or chooses to sit near you without drawing attention. And when he's near you, he's not just physically present. He's attentive, observant, relaxed in a way that shows he feels comforted by your presence. But because he doesn't want to reveal too much, he wraps these moments in casualness, hiding his deeper emotions behind practical reasons. Still, the truth is clear. He's not just showing up for the moment. He's showing up for you. 4. He supports you in subtle ways, but never takes credit. When a man is emotionally attached, but doesn't want to reveal it, one of the clearest signs is the way he supports you behind the scenes. Quietly, consistently, and without ever needing recognition. He won't make grand gestures or dramatic proclamations, but he'll always be there, doing small things that help you feel stronger, safer, or more confident, even if you never know it was him. Maybe you casually mention feeling overwhelmed with work, and somehow, without asking, he starts sending you helpful resources, encouraging quotes, or quietly checks in to see how you're holding up. Or perhaps you say you're nervous about a presentation, and the next day, he subtly boosts your confidence with a thoughtful comment like, "You're better at this than you think." He doesn't say it to be praised. He says it because he cares. He might recommend you for something that benefits you, but never tells you he did. If someone criticizes you in a group or online, he defends you, either openly or by pulling that person aside privately. He looks out for you, pays attention to your struggles, and does what he can to lighten your load. But he never takes credit. He doesn't say, "See what I did for you," or "You wouldn't have made it without me." That's not his style. His support is quiet but meaningful. He gives without expecting anything in return, not even your attention. He doesn't want to seem too invested, because admitting that would expose his emotions. But that doesn't stop him from being there for you in every way he can. In fact, it's the very reason he's always there. When someone is emotionally attached and hiding it, they often choose action over words. And in his case, every little thing he does is his silent way of saying, "I care about you. I'm rooting for you. I'm here." Even if he never says those words out loud, his quiet support speaks volumes. 5. He listens to you more closely than anyone else does. When a man is emotionally attached but doesn't want to reveal it, The way he listens to you becomes one of the strongest giveaways. It's not just about hearing your words. It's about truly absorbing what you're saying, even when it's not important to anyone else. While others might nod and smile, his attention is deeper, more focused, and more personal. He listens with the kind of presence that makes you feel like your voice matters more than you realized. You'll notice he remembers the things you said days or even weeks ago. Things like your favorite song as a child, the way you described your hometown smell after rain, or how you get anxious before a big event. He may never bring these things up directly, but they influence the way he treats you. He knows your comfort food. He senses when you're upset, even when you say you're fine, just because of a change in your tone. His ability to read between your words is more than casual. It's intentional. Even in group settings, when several people are talking, he tunes into your voice. He catches the parts you don't even emphasize. If you once mention a rough family situation or a personal struggle, he won't ask nosy questions, but he'll remember, and later he'll ask how things are going, gently, respectfully. He doesn't interrupt or try to fix things unless you want him to. He just listens, like your thoughts are safe with him. This kind of listening takes effort and emotion. People don't listen this closely unless they care. And when he does it while pretending not to be emotionally involved, it becomes even more telling. He's trying to protect his heart, maybe unsure of how you feel, but his ears betray his restraint. Because the truth is, emotional attachment often shows up not in what he says, but in how he listens. And if he listens to you like the world quiets down when you speak, he's already far more invested than he'll admit. 6. He gets moody when you don't reply, but hides it behind jokes. When a man is emotionally attached but trying to hide it, one of the subtle ways his feelings surface is through his reaction when you don't reply to his messages. He won't say he's upset directly, especially if he's trying to appear cool or detached, but his mood shifts. The most common way he deals with this emotional tension is by masking it with humor, making light jokes, sarcastic comments, or teasing remarks that carry a hidden sting. Maybe you take longer than usual to respond, and when you finally do, he says something like, "Oh, you're alive," or "thought I got ghosted for a second." He laughs it off, but there's a truth buried inside. The fact that he noticed your silence, counted the minutes, and even thought of what to say if you never replied. Those are signs of attachment. If it didn't matter, he wouldn't care. But he does, more than he wants you to know. Sometimes his jokes come with an exaggerated playfulness. He might say, "Wow, someone's too famous to text back now," or "Don't worry, I wasn't refreshing the chat," or anything. These are lighthearted on the surface, but underneath is a quiet anxiety. He doesn't want to seem clingy or too emotionally available, so he hides his feelings behind laughter. It's his way of expressing disappointment without confronting it directly. He may even act like your silence didn't bother him at all, sending a funny meme or changing the subject completely. But if you look closely, you'll see the pattern, the quick shift in tone, the forced humor, the tiny pauses before he responds again. These aren't just coincidences. They're emotional reactions he's trying to contain. Because he hasn't told you how deeply he feels, your replies mean more than you realize. Every missed message feels personal, even when he won't admit it. So he protects his pride with jokes, not realizing that those jokes speak louder than honesty ever could. 7. He defends you when you're not around. When a man is emotionally attached but not ready to show it, one of the most powerful signs is how he speaks about you when you're not there to hear it. Especially if someone criticizes you, jokes about you, or questions your choices, he doesn't stay silent. He steps in, calmly or sharply, to defend your name, your character, your value. And he does it without ever telling you about it. Maybe you're part of a group of friends, and one of them makes a sarcastic comment about something you said or wore. While others might laugh along or ignore it, he changes the mood. He might say, "That's not fair, you don't even know why she said that," or "Actually, I think she was right." His tone may not be loud or aggressive, but it's firm. He doesn't let others minimize you, even if he's trying to minimize his own feelings. If someone casually disrespects you, brushes off your achievements, or questions your decisions, he often becomes noticeably uncomfortable. He may challenge them or simply shift the conversation to protect your image. And when people talk well about you, you'll notice how his face lights up, how proud he seems, even if he hides it behind a neutral expression. What makes this more meaningful is that you're not even there. He's not defending you to impress you or gain your approval. He's doing it because, deep down, he feels emotionally tied to you. Your reputation matters to him. Your feelings matter, even your absence. That's emotional loyalty, and it often reveals more than 1,000 direct compliments ever could. The most telling part? He probably won't even mention that he did it. He doesn't need the credit, and he doesn't want you to know how much space you occupy in his heart. But if you ever find out, you'll realize he's not just thinking of you when you're around. He's protecting you even when you're not. That's what emotional attachment looks like when it's wrapped in silence. 8. He mirrors your moods, even when he tries not to show it. When a man is emotionally attached to you, but is trying hard not to let it show, one of the most revealing signs is how his emotional state subtly mirrors yours, often without him even realizing it. You may not say you're upset, but if something's bothering you, he suddenly seems quieter, more withdrawn. If you're glowing with happiness, he becomes more relaxed, even playful. Your energy sets the tone for his, whether he wants it to or not. This kind of emotional syncing doesn't happen randomly. It's a deep subconscious connection, and it shows just how closely he's tuned into you. If you're anxious, he becomes more alert. If you're sad, he softens his tone. He may not ask directly, "What's wrong?" but he becomes more careful with his words, more gentle in his responses. And even when he tries to stay neutral, it's hard for him to resist that pull. Because when someone truly cares, when they're emotionally attached, your emotions don't just stay with you. They ripple into him. Sometimes, he'll overcompensate to avoid revealing it. You might be upset and he'll act extra cheerful, joking around like everything's fine. But if you look closely, the jokes don't quite land. There's tension in his smile, something slightly off in his energy. He's trying to lift you up without admitting how much your sadness affects him. And when you're happy again, he relaxes as if he's been holding his breath and didn't even realize it. This emotional mirroring is quiet, almost invisible to the outside world. But if you're watching closely, you'll see it in his timing, his tone, his posture. You'll feel it in how present he becomes when you need comfort, or how he goes quiet when your mood drops, even if he never says a word about it. It's his heart reacting to yours, silently, in sync. And no matter how much he tries to hide his feelings, his emotions keep following yours, because whether he admits it or not, he's already emotionally tied to you. 9. He checks your social media, but never likes or comments much. When a man is emotionally attached, but doesn't want to show his feelings, one of the quietest yet clearest signs is how closely he watches your social media, without ever really interacting. He sees your posts, your stories, your updates almost in real time, but you rarely see his name in the likes or comments. He stays in the background, observing, silently staying connected without leaving a trace. It's not because he's disinterested. In fact, it's the opposite. He checks because he cares deeply. He wants to know what you're up to, how you're feeling, who you're with, what mood you're in. But he doesn't engage because a like or a comment could give him away. It could raise questions or suggest something he's not ready to admit. So instead, he just watches. He keeps track of your updates like quiet chapters in a story he's emotionally invested in, but pretending not to read. You might notice he knows things you never told him directly, like a recent trip, a new hobby, or even something small you mentioned in a caption. That's because he's seen it, and he remembers it, even if he never reacted to it online. His silence on your posts isn't disinterest, it's restraint. It's his way of staying close without stepping over a line he's afraid to cross. Sometimes, he'll accidentally let it slip that he saw a photo you didn't expect him to notice, or he'll reference something you only posted in a story. That's when the truth peeks through. He's been watching all along, but staying hidden behind the screen. Not because he doesn't want to be seen, but because being seen might reveal how much you truly matter to him. His quiet presence online is a digital reflection of his emotional attachment. Always there, always watching, always caring, but carefully and from a distance. Because sometimes when someone is falling for you in silence, The easiest way to stay close is to stay unseen. 10. He remembers your routines and adjusts his to match. When a man is emotionally attached to you, but trying to keep it under wraps, one of the subtlest yet most meaningful signs is how he starts to remember your daily routines and quietly adjusts his own to match. He doesn't announce it, and he certainly doesn't make it obvious. But over time, you'll start noticing that he's suddenly available when you are, online when you are, or around when you tend to be free. It's not coincidence. It's intention masked in casual timing. Maybe you always go for a walk in the evenings, and one day he starts messaging you more often around that time, asking vague questions like, "What are you up to these days?" Or perhaps you have a routine of grabbing coffee before work, and now he just happens to be near that cafe around the same time, offering to bump into you. It might even be as subtle as him replying faster during the hours he knows you're usually free, or avoiding texting you during your busy hours because he remembers you once mentioned them. This kind of alignment doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from emotional closeness, an attachment that makes your life feel like something he wants to stay connected to. He learns your patterns because he's paying attention, and without asking you to change a thing, he shifts his own habits to fit around yours. That's not control or obsession. That's quiet care, the kind that most people don't even recognize when it's happening. And yet, he still tries to make it seem like it's no big deal. He'll say things like, "Oh, I was just passing by," or "I was already planning to do that." But deep down, these aren't random overlaps. They're his way of staying close without appearing clingy. Because for someone who isn't ready to admit how deeply he feels, syncing his world with yours is his way of saying, "I want to be near you," without ever having to say it out loud. 11. He gets jealous, but masks it with sarcasm or silence. When a man is emotionally attached, but not ready to confess it, jealousy doesn't show up in loud arguments or possessive words. Instead, it hides behind sarcasm, subtle comments, or sudden silence. You might talk about a guy who complimented you or someone you had lunch with, and instead of reacting directly, he'll make a passing joke like, "Well, you must have great taste," with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. It's not anger. It's discomfort, quietly dressed in humor. Sarcasm becomes his shield. He might say things like, "Wow, I didn't know I had competition," or "Is that your new favorite person now?" It sounds playful, almost teasing, but there's a truth buried underneath. He's trying to mask how much it bothers him, because showing jealousy would mean revealing how much he actually cares, and that's something he's not ready to admit. Other times, he doesn't say anything at all. He just goes quiet. The conversation shifts, but he doesn't follow. His replies become shorter, his energy a little colder. You might feel the mood change, even though nothing was said. That silence? It's him managing emotions he can't name out loud. Jealousy, hurt, and confusion all tangled up inside, because you mentioned another man and it hit a nerve. He won't ask questions, won't pry, won't admit anything. But his tone, his eyes, the way he suddenly loses interest in the topic, it all tells you what he's feeling. And when the moment passes, he might return to normal, as if nothing happened. But now you've seen a glimpse of his heart, the part he's trying to protect. His jealousy isn't about control. It's about quiet longing. It's the tension between wanting to be the only one who gets your attention and not having the right to ask for it. So he hides behind sarcasm. He hides behind silence. But in doing so, he reveals what words can't. He's already more attached to you than he wants you to know. 12. He notices when something's wrong, even when you say you're fine. When a man is emotionally attached to you, even if he's trying hard to hide it, he develops an instinct for your emotions. He begins to notice the slightest changes in your tone, your expressions, your energy, things that others might completely overlook. So when you say, "I'm fine," he doesn't just accept the words at face value. He listens to everything beneath them. He senses the pause in your voice, the forced smile, the delayed reply. And even if he doesn't press you about it, something in him tightens because he knows you're not okay. It's not about being psychic. It's about caring deeply. When someone means something to you, you pay attention in ways you can't fake. He starts noticing patterns in your behavior. How you go quiet when you're overthinking, how you type differently when you're upset, how you laugh slightly less when something's bothering you. And even though he may not say, "Tell me what's wrong," he might ask in softer ways, "You sure you're okay?" Or, "I don't know, something feels off." Sometimes he won't ask anything at all. He'll just stay close, offer distraction, send something funny, or try to lighten the mood. He's not doing this to dig or push. He's doing it because your peace affects his peace. Your silence makes him uneasy, not because he's suspicious, but because he's attached. Even while trying to appear neutral, he's emotionally tuned into you. And when you insist everything's fine, he won't argue. He'll respect your space. But his heart will stay alert, waiting for the moment you feel safe enough to open up. Because even if he's hiding his feelings, he can't unlearn your emotional rhythms. And the truth is, noticing when something's wrong, even when you say otherwise, is one of the quietest, most powerful signs that someone is deeply connected to you.